Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we have a donation deck. We are playing Green-White Maverick with Samwise the Stouthearted. So if you're unfamiliar with Maverick, it's basically a deck that uses Green Sun Zenith better than any other deck. We've got all sorts of targets here. We've got Reclaimers, we've got Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch, Dryad Arbor, Scryb Ranger, Scavenging Ooze, Collector Ouphe, even Questing Beast, Ramunap Excavator, and of course Knight of the Reliquary. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff to do with Green Sun Zenith. So we are a fair deck that has this really powerful toolbox engine with our Green Sun Zenith. And we've slotted in the Samwise in here because it has some nice synergy with things like Horizon Canopy, Wasteland, Ghost Quarter, and Urza's Saga to sort of recur some value and get ourselves going. Also, Elvish Reclaimer and Knight of the Reliquary are both very good with Samwise because you can go sacrifice your land, play the Samwise, get it back. And the idea is that we use these to find our Karakas and then reuse this engine. So it's just another axis to grind upon. Because we are playing a fair deck, we need to play some stuff to disrupt our opponent, which is why we have 3 Thalia here, as well as, hate bears like Collector Ouphe and Scavenging Ooze to mess with graveyards. And we can assemble a Ramunap Excavator Wasteland lock or Ramunap Excavator plus Ghost Quarter lock. Pretty cool. To protect what we've got going on, we've got a bunch of plows, we've got some Mother of Runes to keep our guys safe. Stoneforge Mystic is just a card that can win the game on its own. We have 2 equipments it can find, plus the Shadowspear. We do have a single Haywire Mite to get off of the Urza's Saga. So this is instead of the normal Outland Liberator slot that you would see in Maverick decks, but because we've got this Urza's Saga, we're running the Haywire Mite, which is obviously very good with Samwise as well, because you can just keep recycling it and you gain the life gain too. So hopefully that's going to be an interesting one. Maybe it should just be Outland Liberator, but we're trying some new stuff today. I'm not exactly a Maverick expert, so I asked for a little bit of help off of a fellow content creator, Dogs, who you should definitely check out. I'll put a link to their channel underneath in the description, so definitely check them out. If you're interested in this sort of list, he is definitely the person I would go to for this. A few other interesting things we've got in the deck. We've got a Gaea's Cradle which we can fish out. We've got enough creatures that this is going to be tapping for multiple mana when we play it. We have 3 Flagstones. So this is another thing to go with Samwise, where we can pitch these to go up, get a Savannah out, and ramp with like the Knight or the Elvish Reclaimer. Alternatively, just having these, we can play out a second one, then play a Samwise, get back this one, play another one, and we can just rip loads of lands out of our deck and get towards hard casting things like Kaldra, or just big Green Sun Zenith for things like Questing Beast. There's a lot of moving parts in this deck, and I think I've done a reasonable job explaining what they are. We've made a few tweaks to the normal Maverick deck to fit in the Samwise here, because people want to see the new card. And my donor is no exception here, so let's hope we can do the little guy proud. Sideboard-wise, you may have noticed we're a fair deck, so we've got to have more tools against combo. So we've got some Graveyard Hate and Surgicals. We've got another Collector Ouphe, because sometimes they can answer the first one, and just having a second one is really handy for the matchups where you need it. Gaddock Teeg, very good against people trying to cast the One Ring and big spells like that. We have 2 Deafening Silence for the Storm matchup, as well as 2 Mindbreak Trap. Obviously, Deafening Silence can be useful in other matchups as well. It can slow down Reanimator. It's very good against the Paradox engine deck with the One Ring in. Just stuff like that that's trying to cast lots of non-creatures in one turn. Bit more Artifact Hate in the form of our Force of Vigors. More Graveyard Hate in the form of Endurance. Soul Lantern for more Graveyard Hate, which can also get found off of Urza's Saga. And we have 2 chokes for the sort of fairer blue matchups where they're going to sort of grind us with, loads of cantrips into answers and stuff like that. The choke just gives us something that we can slam down and changes the context of the game entirely. So that's our deck. Like I said, I'm not a Maverick expert, but I'm going to do my best. We have loads of lines to play with this one. The thing about Maverick decks is the ceiling of how good this deck can be is quite high because there's so many decisions you get to make because you've got so many tutor effects and things like that, and even just how you build it can make some significant differences. Most people are on black at the moment for Orcish Bowmasters, but we wanted to try out the Samwise here, and I think it's best just to stay in green-white if we're trying to leverage some of these tools. So that's the deck. If you are interested in having a donor deck on my channel, please message me via the Discord in the description below, or just leave a comment on my channel and I'll get back to you and we can sort that out. I do like donor decks because I play things like this that are a little bit out of my comfort zone, which I think makes you a better player overall, because if you play a bit of everything like I do, then you sort of learn more stuff as you go along, And, you know, this isn't a deck that I would ever take to a tournament. I'm not a Maverick player, but playing it a few times is definitely going to help me as a Legacy player in general. So donate your weird and wonderful things for me to play, and I like to see what you come up with. All right, like and subscribe, and let's get some Legacy going. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? Alright, we're into round one with a hand that looks fine, albeit a little bit slow, but we do have the Mother of Runes to sort of check some removal, and then we can progress a little bit. I would like a 2-drop, but our deck's full of them, so I think we can keep this. Our opponent's name is Samwise GG, and we are playing Samwise ourselves, so I'm sure they'll appreciate what we're doing. Savannah into Mother of Runes. If this gets to untap, so if they wasteland us, they can't kill our Mother of Runes, and if they kill our Mother of Runes, they can't wasteland us. That's something at least. A Scrubland. Is this going to be a Reanimator? Okay, so they're killing our Mother of Runes now, because if they don't now, then they never will. Samwise the Stouthearted. I think we'll drop a Shadowspear for later. Next turn, we can Ghost Quarter and Samwise, or we can just play out Knight of the Reliquary, which is probably going to be better, especially when we can then play the Samwise the next turn and get something off of whatever we've to our Knight of the Reliquary. A buy from our parents. So we're looking at possibly a very similar deck to ours. There's a Green Sun Zenith and an Elvish Reclaimer. So this could be the Absalom Depths deck that I played on my channel a little while ago. That seemed pretty good. So let's play out Knight. Next turn we can start tutoring some stuff up and see how we fare. So we can go and get a Wasteland, and then Samwise, buy back our Wasteland, and then we can hopefully start putting our opponent in the dirt. If they tap out, then we can do a reasonable selection of that stuff, but if they don't, then we're not doing that. Okay, a Wasteland. Are they going to go for our Savannah here? They are. Would not mind drawing a land right now. That is a land. We don't have a white source unless we sacrifice our forest here. So I think we are going to take out their... Well, whatever we take out here is going to get stopped, isn't it? We do get to do this at instant speed. So we can just try and crack off whatever they find. That seems alright to me, because Samwise does have flash. So if they make something end of turn, we can then get rid of it. Right, they just didn't do anything. There's Windswept Heath. So I'm just going to get rid of whatever we decide. Interesting. We'll float off this. We'll sacrifice our forest here. We'll go and get a basic plains, or we get flagstones actually. Flagstones seems a bit better here. This isn't something we can sacrifice tonight, but we can sacrifice it to other things later on down the line. We're just doing this so we can go and get ourselves our forest back, so we've got both of our colours under us. If they wasteland the flagstones, that's fine for us. They can get a Bajuka Bog here if they want to get rid of that. Which looks like... Okay, they're just going to Bowmasters down our Samwise. Sure. One of the weaknesses of Samwise. So our little guy has a Ring Bearer there. What are we looking at doing here? We're definitely playing this land out. Some interesting choices here. We could just get our Questing Beast and shove. So this is 1, 2, 3 power at the moment. If they have crop rotation, this can change a lot. I think we equip here using Ghost Quarter and Flagstones. Go attacks. Then I think I want to deploy the Scavenging Ooze, and then we can make sure that we can adjust the size of our opponent's Reclaimer whenever we want. So the Ring Bearer, if you're unfamiliar with it, the first one is it can't be blocked by creatures with greater power, but they can like gang up and kill it. The next mode, it gets to loot whenever you attack, and then the next mode after that is whenever it gets blocked, the things die under combat. And the last one is when it attacks, when it deals combat damage, the opponent loses 3. So it's not really that big or important as a thing, but sometimes it's useful. Like the looting is probably the best thing on there, but sometimes the ability to make your guys unblockable is useful. Like they're all marginally there. We're not playing Samwise for the ring tempt you. So I'm feeling that we're missing Yavimaya in our deck right now, which would be a handy one to have. So Jerry's Step. Yep, so definitely on the depths plan rather than like a Maverick build. So this is very close to the deck we played the other day on the channel. It was probably 2 weeks ago now, I don't remember. Okay, so they're playing this just for a mana source. Interesting. We have another Knight of the Reliquary. We can just put this Questing Beast into play. I think the correct play here is to just attack with the Knight here. It's quite large. Could do some stuff. If we had a Yavimaya, we'd be able to sack our flagstones. That's sadly not the situation we're in right now. So we can wasteland our own flagstones if we want to. And we can also get rid of one of their things. So let's see if they're going to pump this anymore. So they can get Bajuka Bog here, which will shrink our graveyard by 1. But we can then follow that up with a wasteland on one of their lands. And then the problem with doing that, I suppose, is that we can limit ourselves. Okay, so here's the Bajuka Bog. Okay, so if we wasteland them to try and grow this, at the moment we're just going to kill this. So if they crack this, then in response we can wasteland our own flagstones here. Actually, I think we're better off ghost coring our own flagstone. This is going to grow our knight considerably. So we can go and get our basic planes out, and then flagstones can trigger and get us a Savannah. So now we are pretty large here. So we're going to be trampling over. Are we just going to get plowed here? Okay, we took away their best card. I like that. We can't shut them off with any colours. What we can do is play a Knight of the Reliquary as a second creature here. We're also outside of a 2020 hit. I think our opponent was trying to trap us into wastelanding them, because that's not a thing that would necessarily work there, because they'd have 4 lands, we couldn't strip the last card. Okay, our opponent's Yavimaya will help us out. Grist the Hunger Tide. Sure. So they can sacrifice their army token to kill our knight that's equipped, which is what they're going to do. It's fine. Opponent's got 2 cards in hand. I think I just want to jam. So this will not be able to be blocked here. It will kill the Grist. If this connects, then I think we are doing fine. We do have a Knight of the Reliquary. We don't have anything to fetch with it. We don't have Sejiri Step in our deck list, I don't believe. Just a single green mana. They're crop rotating here. Okay. So this is going to be... Maze of Ith doesn't work here. Karakas does. Okay. That's a little bit annoying, but ultimately fine. We can wasteland this Karakas on our turn and then deploy our Questing Beast. Yep, we don't care about this. A forest. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. We could just pump our knight here, sacrifice our Savannah, and we'll go and get... here. We get Cradle. That's the double mana. That's probably going to be better for us here. And now we can exile a bunch of their stuff. Get rid of our opponent's knight, so they milled over with the Grist. Let's get rid of their Reclaimer. Can wasteland away this Karakas. And we can deploy a Questing Beast. And then our opponent's got 1 card to try and get out of this spot, which might be difficult. Another crop rotation was their last card. Let's see what they find here. A Thespian Stage. Interesting. If they copy this now, we don't really care that much. So they're going to copy that. But this is going to be tapped right now. So they're going to lose everything here. So we can deploy this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It attacks. So this comes at them. This comes at them. And then our knight stays back in case they have something that makes us want to go and fetch a wasteland or a Karakas. Again, we can still take 20 damage and live because we've got so much life now. We're in a very commanding position. Again, they can bounce our Questing Beast if they want to. We got here. Plow on our Knight of the Reliquary. Interesting. Let's get rid of our forest because the Yavimaya is giving us green mana off of all of our stuff anyway. So what do we actually want here? Do you want a Karakas just to be safe? Or do you want a Flagstones to try and get some more value down the line? Interesting choice. I think I'm just going to take Flagstones here. So we can get some more... Again, we're going to be able to take nearly 2 hits. Right, so we draw for turn. Opponent's got no cards in hand. They're going to Karakas our Questing Beast. So this plays out a Reclaimer. This plays out another Reclaimer. Play our Flagstones. We keep this one. The other one goes away. We can find a Savannah. Then we can go Haywire Mite. That's for 4. Deploy Questing Beast. Go attacks. Alright. We have a lot of damage for next turn. I'm not sure what 1 card our opponent can draw here that will work. Alright, so we got game 1 against Abzan Depths. Because I played this the other day, I'm relatively sure I can tell you what's in it. Do we have anything here that I actually like in this matchup? Endurance has some text. Other than that, like maybe Extraction, if we can take out one of their depths or something, we can just say no to everything at that point. So that's something to think about. Jitte is going to be useful here. Scryb Ranger, probably not at its best here. It can let us cheat a little bit on mana, but I don't think this is where I want to be when I can have something like an Endurance instead. The Mother of Runes is very good. Source of Plowshares, the Birds of Paradise, we want that. Noble Hierarch. Haywire Mite. Depends how many Sylvan libraries they have. I think I'd rather have the Endurances here. And it's a case of, do you want to play these Surgicals? I don't think so. I think we just want to have a couple of Endurances to shuffle away their graveyard and shrink their guys and ruin their Ramunaps and things. And I think these Endurances are just going to be better than Insurrections because the Endurances can block Marit Lage if it's already in play. They can trade really well in combat with a bunch of stuff that our opponent has. And they're just win conditions on their own. So we're going to submit like this. Yeah, this seems good. We've got Mother of Runes. We can Samwise and gain a land out of it if we want to on turn 2. Thalia, not the most exciting here. Right, Green Sun Zenith. Our opponent's Yavimaya is going to help us out nicely here. Means we can drop a Flagstones and get green mana off of it whenever we want. So let's go and get ourselves a Mother of Runes and see if we can just shut off all of our opponent's removal. Right, our opponent's got a Thespian Stage. This is something we're going to have to possibly deal with. We do have a Karakas. If this crop rotates, then we will die here because this is the combo of 3 cards here. So we need to have a Karakas in play this turn, I think. So we're definitely playing our Karakas out. And then I think our next choice is to cast our Noble Hierarch. Thank you, opponent's Yavimaya. And then we will hold back our Karakas here because I'm got the feeling our opponent was going for the turn 3. Right. They're just copying the Flagstones. Alright. I think if they had a basic land they could get, then they would, but this is the next best thing. Alright. A Knight of the Reliquary. This is something we're going to have to deal with. And so is this. Right, our opponent is ahead in this game right now. A Birds of Paradise. Is that where I want to be? Not particularly. I'd quite like to play our own Knight of the Reliquary here. So I think we will... We don't even have to crack this right now. Although, do we want to put a land in our graveyard right now? I don't think so. We might need to use our Samwise for it. So I think we can just go 1, 2, 3 and cast this Knight. So our Knight is backed up by Mother of Runes. Their Knight is backed up by Elvish Reclaimer. Right, our opponent's got fetch land. I think we're just going to be seeing lots of activations of Knights this game. And if I can find a piece of removal or something like this that might be able to break the game open, that seems good to me. So we'll cast our Stoneforge Mystic, I think. I think this might be a game where we want Jitte. Or is it just a Kaldra Compleat game? Might just be a Kaldra Compleat. So we have instant speed Samwise if we want. We have Knight of the Reliquary. I don't think Thalia is where I want to be right now. Could deploy this Birds of Paradise though. That seems fine. So this is another flyer blocker. Now they're going to have things like Sajiri Step for us to worry about. But it's a case of will they remove our Karakas. Orcish Bowmasters. Alright. What are they going to ping down with this? Presumably our Mother of Runes. This is going to protect itself. This will stop them getting a creature as well. They're going to plow something else here. They're plowing our Mother. So this ability fizzles and then the Orcish Bowmaster ability fizzles. Okay, they're cracking a Flagstones here. Searching a whole bunch of things. So turn their Reclaimer into a 3/4. There's a tapped Wasteland from our opponent. So we're going to save our Samwise to rebuy our Karakas when they blow it up in a sec. So I imagine they're getting Dark Depths here. I think our opponent is significantly ahead, but we're not without plays to make. Okay, so they got another Flagstones. So they won't get an army because we removed the target for them. We're expecting our Karakas to die here. There is a Grist. That's an annoying one. So they can fire off their Arbor or their Bowmasters. Probably Bowmasters is the weakest thing they have right now. This can take out our Knight. Then we have a choice of whether or not we play Samwise to rebuy the Knight here. Okay, so they're just doing this, aren't they? Okay, we will sacrifice... Hold on, we will tap this for white first. Then we will sacrifice this... this isn't a forest anymore, is it? Because they got rid of the... yeah, they got rid of the Yavimaya. Sure. There goes that. So now we will crack this. We'll go and get ourselves... That's another Savannah. Probably doesn't hurt, but it should probably be a far... No, we just get Savannah, I think. Cast Samwise here. We'll get back our Karakas. Samwise can hold the ring himself. I imagine they're killing our knight here. They're going for Stoneforge. We don't really have a way to protect this Stoneforge, so I guess we don't. Alright, are we finding anything on our Knight of the Reliquary to make ours bigger? They haven't used a Bajuka Bog yet, so I didn't really want to do that. Green Sun Zenith. This allows us to get a Ramunap Excavator. That's pretty good. Also, Knight and Scavenging Ooze are both pretty good options too. Right, so we're going to play out our Karakas. Our opponent doesn't have any cards in hand right now. How are we losing this game? We need to deal with these Reclaimers. How much mana do we have here? We can just put our Kaldra Compleat in, right? So we can tap this for green. We can sacrifice this Savannah. We can go and get the Cradle. This taps for 5, and then we have 6, 7. We can hardcast Kaldra. Get ourselves a tasty living weapon. We can go to attacks here. This will attack Grist, I think. Don't really want that value in my business right now. So this is 6. So I imagine they're just going to let the Grist go here. But we've guaranteed kept off the board. So we just have to beat what our opponent has on board. Are we playing out a Thalia here? No, I don't think so. We need to keep up quite a bunch of stuff here. So we've got the Karakas. And we've got the Birds of Paradise. So there's the Savannah coming in off the trigger ability of the Flagstones. We also need to keep an eye on our clock. So now they have a Wasteland. So we can get rid of our Karakas when the time comes. But we can Ramunap Excavator it back. So we're not getting attacked by 2020 this turn. Next turn we can Green Sun Zenith out a Ramunap Excavator. And start going to town on our opponent. Right, that's not really the one, is it? So they will Wasteland here first. So what we need to do is float green, sacrifice this, getting ourselves a Wasteland here. So we can Wasteland our opponent's Wasteland. This also just gives us another angle of attack for when they try and make their 2020. And I don't think we need to Green Sun Zenith right now. We could Green Sun Zenith for the Endurance and strip out their whole graveyard, making their creatures a lot worse. Is that better than Ramunap Excavator here? I don't think so. No, I think we just go to attacks and do our stuff second main phase. So this is going to get exalted, so it's going to be bashing for 6. So it's a reasonable chunk of life. So now, what order are we doing these things is the question. Our friend's got 1 card in hand. It's unlikely to be a removal spell. So if we Wasteland something now, they will try and go off in response. And they have enough layers of protection. It's going to be difficult for us to handle that, isn't it? So we can Wasteland their Wasteland, which will then force the play on the Karakas right now. Yeah, okay, this is what we're going to do. We haven't got a lot of time, so we need to just make plays here. So this is going to go after our Karakas, or they're going to go after our Cradle. Sure. Cast this where X is 3. We'll get our Ramunap Excavator here. I think it's more important right now to play this Wasteland. So we need to defend against a 2020. Alright. So we're getting somewhere, but it's a real slog. So they're cracking their Windswept Heath. They've got a big knight. Alright, let's see how many land activations. Okay, so first with the Elvish Reclaimer. What are you getting here? They might... I thought they would have done the knight activation first, because that gets a face-up Wasteland that they can then hit the Karakas with. Or our Wasteland. Alright, so there's the Wasteland. We can Wasteland the Wasteland. Or we can Wasteland the Thespian Stage here. So if we Wasteland their Wasteland, they spin up another Wasteland here. Wasteland our Karakas. When we're still not dead this turn. Yeah, that's fine. And every turn that goes on is favourable for us. Now if we've got crop rotation here we can lose, but... Alright, no crop rotation. This knight's getting real big. I would quite like to find an Endurance. Just cut that graveyard out from underneath them. We've got some chump blockers. But they can spin up Sajiri's Steps. They haven't used one yet this game. Right, they're sacrificing to their Elvish Reclaimer right now. A Bajuka Bog to get rid of our Wasteland, sure. A Windswept Heath. Okay, we'll go to attacks.
Attack with our Phyrexian Germ token. It's for 6, so this is half their life total. So we can go and get a Wasteland when we need to. I don't think we're going to play that Thalia out. So what are they going to find with their Knight of the Reliquary right now? A Thespian Stage. Okay, we will sacrifice this. We'll go and get ourselves a basic forest. We will sacrifice this forest. Now our opponent doesn't have resources right now. It's Wasteland. Cut this Thespian Stage out from underneath them. There's no basics for them to copy. They can copy our Flagstones. But the point we're trying to do is stop them from comboing here. Yep, so they copy our Flagstones so they at least get a land out of the deal. 2 Thespian Stages. They tend to run 2 to 3. So maybe we're going to force them into trying to find a rebuy for this. But our opponent's going to have to start throwing some stuff under the bus here. And every turn we get to play something with Ramunap Excavator in play, we are just getting so much further ahead. No attack from our opponent. Not unexpected there. Alright, let's play this out. Let's go to attacks. In with this one. Something has to block here. It might just be the Bowmarters and they take 1. And they go to 1. Maybe we should have attacked with the Samwise. That might have been a smarter play. I'm playing quickly here because there's not a lot of time left. If we go to a game 3, it's going to be tight for us. Alright, so the Paducah Bog goes away. They're trying to make a 19-powered Knight here. There's a Wasteland. If we Wasteland their Knight, we don't need to do that. If we Wasteland this, we need to make sure this doesn't kill us in 1 hit. Alright, they conceded. They were trying to bait us into Wasteland their Wasteland because we did that last time. But we noticed the size of this creeping up. And if we don't Wasteland here, then this can't become a 19. Whereas if we hit this, then this becomes a 17. This can make it 18. If they drew a land, it would be 19. But we just shut that line off completely. They could Wasteland themselves here, actually. Yeah. Do they not have the win here? If where's their Sajiri step? Because what they could do is they could Wasteland their Savannah. This puts this up to an 18. Then this sacrifices one of these for a Sajiri step to give this... I guess they can't get protection from all of our colours is the thing, because we have white blockers and green blockers, actually. Yep, so we did just have it there. Quite a slog, as you can tell, but we got there, and I'm relatively happy with how I played. There's a few little bits where I could have tightened up the play, but like I said, I'm pretty much a novice with this deck. Let's go to round 2. Are we keeping just Birds of Paradise? On the draw, I don't think that's unreasonable. We can definitely get punished here. But it gives us 2 draws to find another land. If our Birds of Paradise doesn't die, it's not really the end of the world either. I think last time I played this opponent, I could be mistaken, but I think they might have been on Initiative, Red-White Initiative. But I play so many games of Magic, I sometimes forget. Unless it's somebody who's like a dedicated person. They're like just one deck all the time. They might be like that, to be fair. I'm sure I've played them playing multiple things. Alright, so it looks like we are on Initiative still. Chromox, Imprinting, Arcan of Emeria. Sim Spirit Guide. Was this? Turn 1, 4th Eolingus for a 2-2. Okay. Chalice of the Void for 0. So our opponent's got nothing. They're just on this Knight here. Now this is going to be drawing them additional cards every turn, but they're effectively quite far down on resources. Alright. I think we will play the Birds of Paradise rather than the Reclaimer here. The Reclaimer does have points of power to attack with, which is kind of an interesting trade-off there. But I think we didn't draw any land, so I think we just have to play the thing that actually gives us mana. A Savannah. Okay. So we have a lot of options here. We can deploy a Knight, or we could deploy Mother of Runes into... I like Mother of Runes into Stoneforge here. I think I just want the Kaldra. It's the biggest game in town. They can tussle with their initiative creatures if they actually get to casting some. Okay, they're playing a Chromox into their own Chalice for 0. I was very surprised they played out that Chalice. Okay, is a Chaos Adventurer. Sure. So we can take the Monarch off of our opponent unless they hold back both of these to trade to block our Kaldra, which is something I would be a-okay with. Alright, so we can use our Kaldra to get the initiative and also the Monarch. So I think that's probably where we have to start this turn. They're not going to block here. They're just going to take 5. I think we want a white source here. Now I can play out this. And we could play a bunch of guys here. I don't hate the play a bunch of guys strategy. Let's play Mother Runes. Let's play an Elvish Reclaimer. Let's draw a card. We could have left open mana in case we drew the Swords of Plowshares. I think just getting more toughness on board is probably a better shout here. Right, so this Chaos Venture is going to exile something. Fable the Mirror Breaker. How important is it that we block any of his damage? There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 when the 5 comes at us. I don't really want to lose our Mother of Runes. Nope, I think we have to soak this up. Like, we should be absolute golden in combat once we get our... so we're doing it... yeah, so once we get our second Mother of Runes online, we should be pretty strong in the old combat. Of all the keywords this has, it doesn't have Vigilance, which is probably for the best, but be real handy about now. Alright, so they're going to put some counters on this little guy. That makes sense. Right, there's the mountain we knew about earlier. There's a Favored Mirror Breaker they got off of the Caves of Chaos Adventure. 2 cards in our opponent's hand, now a third. What is our deal here? A Flagstones. What is our plan? This guy can attack in now if it wants to. Does it want to? That is another important question. We could just give protection to one of our guys. I think that's probably what we're going to do here. We're going to give this protection from red. We're going to go to combat. We're going to hold back our Phyrexian Germ token here. Because this can devour a Caves of Chaos Adventure with ease. Okay, so we get the initiative. So we're going to go to... if we put 2 counters on this, it can block all of this creature. Is that worth us doing? It could be. I think we'll forge up our Reclaimer here. Now I've got the Monarch. I think we play out the Urza Saga, so we have more creatures next turn if we need them. That could be wrong. I think we want to play this Knight out as well. Just make some large creatures. Card here, a Green Sun Zenith. That's going to be handy later on. We can get something like the... Well, we can Wasteland lock our opponent a little bit, or we could go and get Questing Beast in the near future. That's going to be a pretty good game. We can successfully block these things. I will not save our Elvish Reclaimer if we put it under the bus here, because I don't want them to Solitude our Phyrexian Gem token. So next time we get to trap our opponent down to 5 in theory. Alright. Another Fable the Mirror Breaker. Sure. That's another creature, but not too much of a problem necessarily. There is an Archon of Emeria and a Concession. Alright. So they can't get through our wall of stuff. Not unhappy with how that went. So, what does our opponent have that I do not like? Quite a lot of things, to be honest with you. But what do we have that realistically interacts with them? That is a more difficult question. I think Endurance is a reasonable creature in a world of Archons. And it can tussle with a decent selection of their creatures. So I don't hate having this as just a turn 2 play. Collector Ouphe is good against some of their mana, but bad against other aspects of it. Haywire Mite is better for that sort of effect, in my opinion. I think we're probably going to want to leverage some equipment at some point in this game. The Thalia is quite nice. We obviously need to keep our removal. That's not going anywhere. Scavenging Ooze seems pretty weak. The other cards I like here are the Force of Vigors to stop a Chalice on 1, which we might be required to use to stop the Chalice shutting off of our Swords of Plowshares, which is quite a key card in the matchup. But what are we doing? Scryb Ranger, is that useful to us? I think I would rather have 1 Force of Vigor than a Scryb Ranger. So at least we have the answer for it in there. Like, we can play through it to a degree, but turn 1 Chalice is going to be annoying. Maybe we do want the second, but this is such a turkey of a card sometimes. All right, I think we're going to submit like this. And on the play, it's slightly better because we get to play our 1-drop. And if we have a 1-drop, that's probably fine. They might have kept in... yeah, so we've got cards we want for this matchup. We'll keep this. So they might have kept in the Chalices, or they might have boarded them out to have Swords to Plowshares to point at our guys. Because this is a creature matchup.
So maybe that's what they're going to choose. That's another reason I don't want to board in 2 Force of Vigors, because you don't want to end up with 2 of them rotting away in our hand. Our opponent has mulligan to 5. That doesn't necessarily mean much, because they can still just play one big thing early on, and it can be game. I would like to... Okay, it looks like we're getting a 4-drop on turn 1. Which one is it? Seasoned Dungeoneer. Okay, so we're going to Swords to Plowshares this. I imagine they're still going to scry, but we're going to give them the opportunity to make the mistake here. So we're going to play the Karakas and plow this guy. The reason I think they might scry is because they don't have anything going on right now. Right, there's our Karakas. The Thalia is okay in this matchup. It's much better on the play. But let's see what they do with their initiative. Are they just going in? Okay, they are going for the scry. So we're going to let them do their scry, and then we're going to kill this before they draw like something that might be able to impact it. So they've scried not knowing whether or not they were going to keep their creature. So now we can deploy... So we're going to deploy the Mother of Ruins, and probably the Dryad Arbor as well. This gives us 2 creatures to attack with to take the initiative, if it comes to that. Next turn we can play the Gaea's Cradle and have a decent chunk of mana underneath us there. Right, so they're getting a treasure token. So they're going for the Spooky Skeleton on the following turn. Let's see what sort of creature they deploy here. A Fury. That's a very good one, isn't it? Yikes. That is... that's a real doozy for us there. That's probably the game. Okay, we can still come back from this, but it's going to be hard because they're getting Spooky Skeleton now. So, our Cradle doesn't tap for mana now. That's a real problem. We can't cast any of our spells, and our opponent's going to hit us for 6 this turn, and then 10 the following turn, and then get Thrown the Dead 3 on that turn. So, I think we are just dead here. We're going to see what our opponent reveals on the Thrown the Dead 3, because we might get an idea of how much they've sideboarded. And if there's anything, like if we see the chalices or not, we might be able to take out our Force of Vigor. Like, we're just playing for information here, that's all we're doing. Alright, I don't see a Swords to Plowshares or a Chalice of the Void. I do see the Blood Moon, though, which makes me want to keep in this Force of Vigor. Not that we can't beat a Blood Moon, but it might be a bit of an annoying thing. Do I want anything else to be different here? I don't think so. Do I want a second Force of Vigor? Not really convinced that we need that. What will we be removing? Maybe it's an Endurance, but I do like just having a guy that does stuff, because we need to attack. Maybe it's a Samwise, but being able to wasteland our opponent multiple times is also very nice. We're just going to resubmit. We've got the Haywire Mite, we've got the Force of Vigor, and we can play on basics. Alright. We can't play on this though. We're going to have to mulligan this. This is a fine hand. We have choices about what our turn 1 play is going to be. Do we play the Birds of Paradise? I think we're throwing back this Shadowspear. Do we play the Birds of Paradise? Do we play the Elvish Reclaimer? Like, we're getting a forest off of our Windswept Heath so we can play around a Blood Moon. That much is a given. The reason for playing the Reclaimer is it's a creature that can attack and take the initiative. The reason for playing the Birds of Paradise is it gets us up above the curve here. I think we will play the Birds of Paradise and try and double spell next turn with the Stoneforge and the Reclaimer. And that should put us in an okay-ish spot unless they make a 4-drop on turn 1. Also this way, if they make an Archon on turn 1, we can play around that. This also plays around Blood Moon by giving us access to white mana. It just seems an overall powerful thing to do. Summon Spirit Guide. Underneath the Chromox. Fable the Mirror Breaker. That's not too bad. Questing Beast, quite a potent creature here. We're not going to be firing off our Ghost Core anytime soon. So I think we are on the Stoneforge. Are we getting Kaldra or are we getting Jitte here? Genuinely a tough one. Kaldra is just the biggest thing in town, but Jitte in a creature matchup is real scary. If they play an initiative creature next turn, we're going to want the Kaldra. I think we do get the Kaldra. Might force them into a suboptimal play of removing our guy, like pitching something to Solitude or whatever instead of dealing with, instead of putting it into play. So we'll see. So we can Kaldra and Elvish Reclaimer next turn if we want to. Elvish Reclaimer activation, or we can play a Questing Beast if they kill our Stoneforge Mystic. Depending on how they kill it, I guess. If they Fury and take out the Mystic and the birds, then that would be annoying. I don't think we're going to trade one of our guys for this. Like, if we get to keep our Stoneforge in play, that's great. And if it was when it deals combat damage, it makes a treasure, then that'd be different. Okay, we're going to get Fury again here. Oh, Kaldra Compleat Venture. Okay. That's not too problematic for us. Opponent's got one card in hand here. So I think the play here is quite an aggressive one. I think we're supposed to put in our Questing Beast, attack with Questing Beast and Elvish Reclaimer, because this has Vigilance. So this way definitely gets us the initiative, which gets us our basic. Alright, so they're taking the 4 here. We can stop them getting the initiative next turn if we want to. Do need to do something about this Failed Mirror Break. They might not attack with their Kaldra Compleat Adventurer, but we'll see. I'd be very happy to get this Kaldra Compleat Adventurer off the board, because whilst they have Reflection of Kiki Jiki, it's real awkward for us because they can just make more of these. So I suspect they don't attack here, which means we get to keep the initiative. Although they are going in for the attacks with both of them. Okay. So they've got one card, 2 cards in hand. So we can either eat this or eat this so they can't copy it. I think I want to stop them from copying this guy. So they do get the initiative back here. But they don't get to just turbo speedrun their dungeon with their Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Right. They're pumping their Shaman Token. That's fine. We can chump block it with the Birds of Paradise if we so wish. What is the follow-up is the question. A Fury. Okay, so it's the worst possible case scenario that our last cards in our opponent's hand were the exact cards they needed to put a Fury into play. And that's probably game over now. I really dislike the initiative deck, to be honest. I just don't find it has very interesting play patterns. Mother of Runes. We are dead here. Yeah. Our opponent just had all the stuff. Like the decision where we attack with 2 guys to get the initiative. Because if they make their Kaldra Compleat Adventurer bigger, that can be a problem for us. And we're just trying to force them into possibly trading it. Maybe, like, if we hold back the Elvish Reclaimer, that doesn't really make much of a difference to how this game pans out there. We basically traded that one guy for guaranteed initiative. Maybe our opponent blocks slightly differently if we attack with just the Questing Beast. But I think with the selection of cards our opponent had in that game, it was going to be very difficult for us to win that one. And we didn't. So let's go to round 3. All right. We are Mother of Runesing on turn 1 or Elvish Reclaimering. I think Mother of Runes just to make sure all the removal's off forever. That seems fine to me. We're also on the play. Opponent's mulligan to 6 cards. So we can lead out on Flagstones. They can't even wasteland us. Well, they can. It would just fix our mana. Should be nice. Right, so we've got Mother of Runes. If we untap, then our creatures are going to be very difficult for our opponent to remove. Let's see if they're a deck that cares about removing our creatures or not. Ancient Tomb. Okay. What flavour of Ancient Tomb deck are we? It's going to be a Chalice on 1. Or they're going to be trying to turbo some stuff out. Who knows? Samwise the Stouthearted. So I think this turn is make Reclaimer, pass the turn. Because we don't really know what sort of Ancient Tomb deck they are, I wasn't really into attacking with our Mother of Runes. Now, if they were like a prison-y deck that's not actually going to remove our thing. Okay, so this is the sort of deck that we could have attacked into with our Mother of Runes. So it's Curl Post. Assault Monolith. Yep. Our opponent is probably going to win this game because they can just go big. Unless we can start digging up a bunch of wastelands in the very near future. Of Flagstones. What are we going to do with our Flagstones? So I think we go float 1, play this one out, keep this one. This one goes away, gets us a Savannah. Then we wasteland away our Flagstones here. Get another Savannah. Then we get a wasteland. Sure. So this is a matchup where we can actually attack with our Mother of Runes because they're going to be a colourless deck that doesn't actually kill our guys. So we're just going to attack here. But we didn't know that on turn 1. We didn't know if they were going to be, you know, a painter deck, which has got loads of things that we want to protect ourselves with Mother. But let's see. Our opponent might not be a Cloud Post deck. They might just be a... Well, they'll have Cloud Post in their deck, obviously. But they might just be like a colourless one-ring deck that is using Glimmer Posts because they're... You know, Glimmer Posts and Cloud Posts because they're fine. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Because they have no need for colourless mana, so they might as well have these things that can sometimes... for coloured mana, so they may as well have these things that do a lot more than just like a random basic.
Even just Glim Post on its own in a colourless deck can sort of get you a couple of life. Alright. Let's see. 5 mana. It's going to be big. No. They're off it? No. A Walking Ballista. So this is something we can't Mother of Runes our way out of either. So, alright. So they're going to ping down our Mother. Are they going to ping down our Reclaimer as well? They are. Okay. Sure. So we've got a Samwise turn here. Samwise actually going to do something pretty tasty this turn. We're going to wasteland their Ancient Tomb. I'm going to cast Samwise. Welcome back to the Stone Age, opponent. Play this out. Now the question of, do we wasteland right now? Because our opponent didn't have a 5-drop. So I'm kind of inclined to not wasteland just yet. Like, the best thing they did on their turn was Walking Ballista. If we wait another turn, we can get another Samwise off of it, so we can rebuy it again. And that's going to be a lot stronger. So I think we are wastelanding here. We're going to do this pre-combat so we can get the loot effect off of our Samwise. Because we'll keep the other one that's already in play. Because this will give us the next stage of the Ring Bearer. So we will keep the Ring Bearer. This one will die. We'll get back our Wasteland. Our opponent's just scooping that because we Wasteland locked them. Alright. So, Force of Vigor looks like it's going to be a useful one here. Collector Ouphe also looks like it's going to be useful, as does Gaddock Teeg. Is Deafening Silence where we want to be? I don't know if we know enough about our opponent's deck to determine that. If they're going to be Cloud Post, or if they're going to be like some sort of one-ring Paradox Engine deck. And these are the 4 we definitely want, though. What do we not require? I don't think we're looking at Scavenging Ooze, Scryb Ranger, or Umezawa's Jitte here. That doesn't seem like where we're at. The Plows, we can probably trim one of those. We can probably trim Mother of Runes, actually. Mother of Runes might be useful. They could have things like Thought Not Seer, so Plow's probably going to be better against that. So this is what I'm looking at getting rid of to begin with. Do I think Deafening Silence is going to be where I want to be here? That is the next question. Like, are they trying to combo us in a way that we want Mindbreak Traps and Deafening Silences? Or are they just a big mana deck with Cloud Posts? The Cloud Posts, the Glimmer Posts make me think they're more likely to be just a big mana deck that wants to play like one big spell a turn. So I don't think we need these. So this is what we're going to go with. And we're going to submit. Like, we could just have some Scavenging Ooze just as pressure, but I don't think that's worth doing. Collector Ouphe, bit of a nombo with Shadowspear actually. Maybe we'll take out the Shadowspear and put in Scryb Ranger can return some forest. Is that a thing we care about? Or do we just want Endurance as a nice creature? It's a bit weighty. Maybe? It's tough to say what the last card we want in our deck is. I'll take an Endurance. Like, I think it could be any of the creatures would be fine here. We're just taking a creature that beats down. Okay, this will get us some Wastelands pretty sharpish. This will blow up some of their scary things. This is a nice looking hand. I think our turn 1 play is Reclaimer. That's way more important right now than Mother of Runes. Turn 2, we can play a Haywire Mite and blow something up if we need to. Something like a Basalt Monolith, for example. This also blows up the ring. Grim Monolith. Understood, opponent. Are they doing anything with it right now? Not that it really makes a difference to what we're doing. I think the only realistic play we have here is the Reclaimer on turn 1. So we've got something that finds us Wastelands. So that's good. Hopefully we're going to get an impression what our opponent's deck is. Or, well, hopefully not, and we just smash them before knowing what they're doing, I suppose. But hopefully we'll see a little bit more of our opponent's deck, have a bit more of a match, but still win. That's the dream. Alright, we got 5 mana. Forsaken Monument. Alright. That goes pretty big, doesn't it? Whenever you tap a permanent for colourless, add more colourless. Alright. Okay, a Grim Monolith. Interesting. It's also going to gain them a load of life in the process, which might be relevant, might buy them more turns. So I think we're going to go and Haywire Mite away this Forsaken Monument. And then we'll worry about other stuff next turn. So, play this guy. This cuts out a huge amount of mana from our opponent. We will exile this with green mana. I love Haywire Mite. I think this card is just one of my favourite cards of recent years. It's not too powerful. It's just a really sweet design. Big fan. I like the simple things in life. Careful Study, I think, is one of the best design cards of all time. I like really simple Magic cards. Don't want to have to read essays on my things. This does have quite a lot of text on it, to be fair. But I think this is just a nice, sweet design. And the fact that it only hits non-creatures is interesting as well. I think limitations can make cards more interesting in a lot of ways. Anyway, I digress. What's our opponent doing this turn? Another one. All right. Can we find a way to wasteland this turn? Is that within our possibility? We can find a way to wasteland this turn. All right, opponent. Have a bad time over there. And then we're going to Elvish Reclaimer away our flagstones to then get another wasteland and just keep the train rolling. Our opponent's deck's got some interesting cards in. I'm curious to see more cards in their deck. Like, is this Forsaken Monument actually going to be pumping creatures? Or is it mainly just there as a way of getting additional life and mana? It basically makes all of their lands into +1 mana, which is a lot. But it is a 5 mana spell. We get to do the really gross Elvish Reclaimer ramping trick here. Give me that Savannah. I don't think our opponent's going to mess with our mana base. Let's go Wasteland. Right, we'll Wasteland one of these Glimmer Posts. Our guy's now 3-3. Sorry, 3-4. Untapping their Grim Monolith. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then we have to decide what we're doing for the rest of our turn. We can go and get more Wastelands, or we can start attacking our opponent. So I think we're definitely playing this one out. And then I think we're probably just going to Green Sun Zenith for Collector Ouphe here. That's probably the best play we have. Gaddock Teeg, also an interesting one. But this shuts down the Grim Monolith they've just gone and untapped. I feel bad here. Like, we are very much the fun police here. Our opponent's trying to do something cool and explosive with our Dryad Monument. Or Forsaken Monument, sorry. And we're just saying no to everything. Now, they still get the life and they still get the extra mana here off of the Monument. It's just the Grim Monolith doesn't tap. Alright, and Urza's Saga. That's the thing we can blow up. How useful is the Thalia going to be? Depends on how much we get to wasteland our opponent. We'd like to get rid of this Urza's Saga, but I don't think we're going to have that chance. So the Urza's Saga constructs can just be big. Their Glimmer Post is tapping for 2 already, so... What is the play here? Do we just crunch for 5? Or do we need to get a wasteland here? I think we're playing out this Horizon Canopy. Don't think we're attacking. I think we are going to get a wasteland. So they get 1 construct token that we will plow. So I think this means we play out the Reclaimer here. I don't really want to play out the Thalia. Are we playing out this Mother of Runes? Honestly, I don't think it's worth playing out here. I'd rather just keep up the plow and the Reclaimer activation. We're probably going to throw away one of our Horizon Canopies. I don't think we need all of these. If we can find a Ramunap Excavator, we can put this game more or less to bed, I think. So our opponent's obviously trying to cast something big with the things they've got in play. So if we can just keep them on the amount of mana they're on now, then I don't think we're going to have to worry too much, especially if we get rid of their Saga. It's going to be a relatively large construct though. It's 4 that it's a 4/4 they can make now. We can still attack into it and plow it. That's not an issue. But we don't want to run out of lands either. Right, no attacks from our opponent there. No spell, sorry. Second main phase. Alright, let's go sacrificing our Horizon Canopy. Let's go and get ourselves a wasteland. This is the last wasteland in our deck. It is. Now, Ghost Quarter might be an effective wasteland in this game. I don't know if our opponent's got a waste in their deck. It's possible. Gaddock Teeg is very nice here. So we will hit this. Our opponent will make a construct. We will source to Plowshares the construct. They will gain 6. Our opponent is just saying GG's. I think they've had enough. Alright, so we've got 3 rounds in the bag, 2 and a 1 so far. Let's go to round 4. On the play for round 4, we have Mother of Runes, and then it kind of gets a bit awkward from that point. I think we can do better. This Dryad Arbor is not what I want to be. Alright, this is definitely a better hand. We'll keep this. What are we slinging away here? Maybe it's the second night. They are very good, but I think we want to have our mana base and stuff underneath us. Right, so we're going to begin with a Flagstones and play our Mother of Runes. This is going to make all of our creatures better on as the game goes along. Our opponent's got 6 cards in hand. So, a start that I'm pretty happy with. Oh, no. Oh, no. Is this reanimated? No, okay. We're just going to get our guy bolted. That's not fine, but it's acceptable. Right, so you can play out this as a Saga, or we can try and get a Green Sun Zenith going. I think our opponent's on Grixis Delver. Do I Green Sun Zenith into Daze, or do I just hang an Urza's Saga out into Wasteland? If we Green Sun Zenith this turn off of a basic, then if they Daze this, the Knight's more likely to resolve next turn. So we'll go Forest, see if we can get a Elvish Reclaimer. Then we can do tricks with our Flagstones as well. I think we're getting dazed here now. Oh no. Our opponent thought about it for a second though, so I'm not going to be surprised if they do have a daze. Maybe this just wasn't a big enough target for them, which is understandable. They might have a removal spell that can just clean this up. They could be Grixis Control rather than Grixis Delver though. Alright, they are Delver. We did not get Wastelanded. Swords, 2 Plowshares. Are we ploughing this? Or are we worried about Murktide? And that's the thing we're going to have to save our mana for. Interesting. So we can play this out, or we can get rid of our Flagstones for more mana and plough here. I think we want the Knight. This could be dazed. Force? Okay, that's fine. That was going to get whatever we cast. So now we attack with our Reclaimer. And then from next turn we start making Urza Saga constructs. And hopefully get there with those. Constructs against Delver tend to be pretty good in game 1. They just become a lot worse in game 2. Right, Polluted Delta being cracked from our opponent. A True Name Nemesis. Well, that's a bit awkward. Now we can just gain life and go around it. So our opponent might just be Blue-Red Delver, or they might be Jeskai Delver. You tend to see True Name alongside equipments more often than not. So maybe that's what we're looking at here. A Shadowspear. Well, that was one of the equipments I wanted to get, so that's not ideal. So if we fire this off, we don't get to do this. I think the plough is going to be more important now. So we're not attacking with our Reclaimer, we're just making a token and ploughing the Insectile Aberration. I guess we'll see if they play a Murktide pre-combat. I don't think we can afford to keep taking this 3 here, so we're going to fire this off. We have given the opportunity to get like forcible blue card here. And then draw a card. Alright. Not punished. Excellent. If we take 3 here, we go to 13. We make a construct at end step. A ponder from our opponent is not that scary. Alright. Let's make a construct. What is this? A lightning bolt on our Reclaimer. Sure. I'd rather that than hit our construct, I think. Oh, they got another one. Alright, our opponent's got no cards in hand. I think we are activating this now. We'll get an artifact, play another artifact, and we can, in theory, just trample over with the Shadowspear and get there. Oh, what is this? It's a Murktide off the top. Feels like a Murktide. Sure. We need to find a source of Plowshares, or we're going to lose the game. Oh dear, oh dear. A Collector Ouphe. Ouphe indeed. We have to draw a card with this, and we have to find not that. This one, we'll go and get ourselves a Savannah, I guess. So now we have 2 mana. We can equip the Shadowspear. So we're taking 9 damage next turn. So we can gain 4 to survive, or we can gain 2. If we attack with just the Haywire Mite here, this will gain us 2 life, which should be enough to keep us alive for 1 more turn, and then maybe we can stick this on this guy and find a removal spell. If they block this, we gain 4 life. Yeah. Alright. Pretty ugly play, but it's what we had. Now, maybe we can do something with this construct. I think they're just going to serve with everything here, yeah. So this is going to put us to a very low life total of 3. So we need to find a removal spell. It's not a removal spell. We are dead. Alright, what do we want against Delver? I think we would like these Endurances and these Chokes. Don't really want the... we could also have the Soul Guide. We don't want the Gaddock Teeg here. That's not really where I want to be. Collector Ouphe doesn't seem great. Scryb Ranger does seem great because it can block that horrible guy easy peasy. Haywire Mite doesn't seem like something we need. The Ramunap Excavator combo very strong. Rebuying our Wastelands can be pretty good here. Thalia is pretty good against Delver historically. Jitte is pretty good against some of the stuff. We're going to need life gain, so I don't really want to board out any of those. So now we're trying to find the other 2 to 3 slots in our deck. Now, what do I think is the worst of our thing? I think we're probably looking at trimming at least one Samwise. And then if we want to get this other token, which we definitely do, we have to cut something else. Is that going to be another Samwise? Tough to say. We definitely want our mana dork so we can just like slam big drops ahead of curve. Maybe we're getting rid of another Samwise and we're not boarding in the Soul Guide Lantern and just relying on the endurances. We could always board in 1 and 1 if we're really worried about the graveyard. But endurance is just a really good creature though. And we have the Scavenging Ooze as well if we need it. No, I think that's fine. Sorry Samwise, but that's not what we need right now. Alright, let's submit. This opening hand, I don't like it. I'm going to mulligan. This one's better. We can play off of a basic. I guess we'll keep this and throw back the 4-drop. The Samwise is looking kind of annoying. Oh, no. Oh, my God. We've accidentally yielded through our turn there. Well, that's a terrible mistake. Jeez. It's been a little while since I misclicked through my whole turn. Yuck. Right, so now we're just massively behind and probably going to lose this game because of that, I think. That's very tilting. All right, let's play this Reclaimer out into a daze. All right, no, we're in. We can endurance pitch cast if we want to, but to be honest, we don't really want to. Something like a fetch land would be quite nice on our next turn. We could play that and then cast a Samwise and get it back. Their Delver did not flip, and they played a land, so that might have been what they drew. A Dragon's Rage Channeler. Okay. A Lightning Bolt for our guy? Yeah, of course it is. Right, Delver, very efficient. So we're going to go to 18. We're going to draw a card. It's going to be great. Samwise the Stouthearted could be a surprise blocker. We'll try this out. Would I trade my Samwise for a Dragon's Rage Channeler? I think the answer to that question is wholeheartedly yes. If this catches a Daze or a Force of Will, that's also fine. But we are playing Ambush Viper. A Force of Will. Pitching Murktide. Alright, I'll take that. Did they leave that card on top? It looks like they did. That's bad news for us. Okay. Let's try a Knight of the Reliquary. They got Daze for this one. I think they would have Dazed last time if they had it. So, alright, we're just in with the Knight. This is bigger than their creatures at present, but they left the card on top, so what would they leave on top that they wouldn't, that doesn't flip Delver? A land for a Trine Nemesis? Yeah, that's the chestnut right there. Right, so they're not attacking with anything this turn. We have a Stoneforge Mystic. That's pretty good here. So we can go and do this. We can go and get a life-linking equipment. I think Umezawa's Jitte is looking quite tasty right now. We will get that. And while our opponent doesn't have a Lightning Bolt, I think we want to Ghost Quarter our Flagstones and rip out some more basics. This also means we can attack with our Knight if we want to. So we will get this basic Plains out. The Flagstones triggers. And we will get out a Savannah, I think. Do we want to go and find a bonus mystery land here? Or do you just want to crunch? So they can block with everything here. And trade these 2 creatures for my Knight. I don't really like that very much. I think we're just going to pass and hold up Knight. So our Knight is going to be very difficult for them to kill. Unholy Heat would do it, but they would need Delirium for that. Are we going to tutor for something here? I think we are. It grows our Knight, and we can get a Soul Land to get double mana off of our Cradle. I think that's probably one of the better things we've got going for us right now. Or the Ezra Saga. I think it's the Cradle. A Green Sun Zenith. That's also quite nice. So, what do we want to do here? So this is only a 6/6. So a Lightning Bolt could do something, but we're going to get the triggers off of this. We could go get Ramunap Excavator and just start in our opponent's stuff. I think Uncounterable Jitte is probably where I want to start this turn off, though. And probably where I'm going to finish this turn. Let's equip this to this guy. We can get one swing off with the Jitte here. At least give us some life to work with. They're probably going to have a Brazen Borrower because they always have their one-off Brazen Borrower. Alright, so we don't actually get to deal damage here, right? No, we don't get to deal damage. That is an error. Oh dear. What am I doing? Alright, that was a bit of a punt there. I forgot it's going to prevent all the damage. Whoops. No flip from this. Let's see if they play a land instead. Okay, so they do have black mana. They played a Wasteland. We're going to lose our Cradle. That's annoying, for sure. Red, blue, blue. There's another true name. A Meltdown. Right, so we're going to lose our Jitte, and this is going to give them Delirium as well. Right, it might not give them Delirium, right? They got 3 types. Okay, they didn't mill over. That's good. So maybe they attack for 2 here, and then hold back the true name. Yeah, as I suspected. All right. An interesting development. Yeah, that play with the Jitte has cost us pretty deep in the purse. We can. Green Sun Zenith for 2. What does that get us? That gets us Scavenging Ooze, which is a source of life gain. Or we can play a second Knight of the Reliquary. What does that get us? Or we can get ourselves a Birds of Paradise. Or a Noble Hierarch. Or we can just hold up this Endurance. I think I like the Endurance play here to stop Murktide Regent from happening. They didn't have a Murktide Regent last turn. Do I try and fade it this turn? Surgical Extraction. Interesting. So they've drawn Surgical Extraction. Do I try and nab this? Or do I stop them getting a Murktide? I think we can beat a Murktide in combat. So we're going to let them go to attacks here. This could be an error for us. But I quite like to gobble up this. Alright, they are playing a Murktide. Sure. Punished. Oh no, they're just doing a Surgical Extraction. Targeting Samwise. Right, we will... I'm really scared of the Samwise. That is not the most exciting one there. So now they're not going to attack with their Insectile Aberration. They might do, but it seems very unlikely to me. Okay, they might have a Daze in hand here. We will sacrifice our Plains, looking at our hand here, to go and get a Savannah. Oh wow, so we made a misplay into an onboard thing, and they made a misplay into an onboard thing. Alright, not the highest quality Magic the Gathering you've ever seen. Interesting they went for our Samwises though. Do I want more Samwises now? They brought in Meltdown when we don't really have much that Meltdown plays into. I think I like how we're sideboarded, to be honest. I don't really want to change anything. I'm going to resubmit. I like our hand here. Mother of Runes off of a Flagstones into Thalia or Stoneforge are both incredibly strong ways to win the game. There is a Volcanic Island and a Ponder, not even turn 1 pressure. That's good for us. They could Bowmasters our Mother of Runes on turn 2. That's definitely a thing that we have to consider, but I don't think it changes our play here. If we get the Bowmasters down, it's just really potent. Sorry, if we get the Mother of Runes down and we get to untap with it, it's just so potent. Right, Flagstones into Mother of Runes. No days. This means they might either have a removal spell or they just didn't have counter magic. Yeah, here's a removal spell. That's the one. They got a follow-up threat. They do not. Our opponent hasn't been showing us anything that makes me think they're playing Stifle. Right, there's a forest. So, what are we doing here? I think we play out the Thalia because they can't be efficient with a removal spell on it here. Just a suboptimal brainstorming response. They are a fetch land away from casting Murktide, which will probably kill us in relatively short order. But we'll see. There's a Wasteland. Flagstones isn't really a thing they want to wasteland here. 2 mana Lightning Bolt. Be my guest. Like to draw a land here. Now, I don't know if I want to play this Saga or not. Is that better than the Savannah? Would they just snap a Wasteland off on our Savannah and then let us get to do Urza Saga things? Maybe they would. Let's play Savannah out. I think we'll play the Stoneforge around a Daze and then play the Hierarch to follow. Got a Force of Will here? No. Okay, we're going to get the Kaldra. We already have the Jitte in hand. And then we'll play out our Noble Hierarch. Is this worth a Daze to you? Or we got a Misstep. They're dismembering our Stoneforge Mystic. Sure. So we can play and equip Jitte if we think that's going to be good next turn, or we can just slam our Knight. Alright, so we're just slamming the Knight most likely, but we'll see.
We can't play and equip, but we can play a Night around a Daze. Right, so there is the Murktide. I think we can race this with the Jitte. Just depends what our opponent's cards are like. We don't have anything. We can go and get what's it called? Scryb Ranger. But that doesn't feel... That feels like trying to not lose the game rather than trying to win the game. Whereas Knight of the Reliquary is big news. What have you got, opponent? Alright, so we got 4/4, so it can't be bolted. They attack for 8, we swing with Jitte on our 5/5. And then when this Saga pops, we can take a Shadowspear. And that should hopefully do a decent chunk of work. No play, our opponent's got 4 cards in hand. Let's try and cast this. Let's try and equip this Jitte. Let's try and attack with this Jitte on our 5/5. They're going to have the Borrower, or are we just going to be in? Alright, we're in. So we've got 2 bits of life, so that's equal to half of a Murktide swing. Next turn we get our Shadowspear off, and that can also go on the Knight. If they had a removal spell for the Knight last turn, they definitely would have fired it off. So now they're looking for one. They chose not to shuffle. That makes me suspect they have... Okay, just a Delver. Alright. We are ahead, I would say, now. Not by much, but we're ahead. I think this just floats mana here. We're going to get Shadowspear. We're going to equip this Shadowspear onto this guy. And we'll -1 this Delver. I don't think I want to sacrifice this Horizon Canopy. Let me go to attacks here. So this goes up to 7. And then we will give this guy +2/+2. It's getting a big chunk of life here. And gain some more counters. And we'll play out this Horizon Canopy. Out this Elvish Reclaimer. And we can swing through a Murktide and win the game next turn. X equals 1. So this is going to get rid of the Shadowspear, but not the Jitte. And then they're just dead, I think. We don't have Trample, but they have to block here or they die. And then this comes through and kills them. Alright, so we got a win against Delver. A bit of nickel and diamond in there. Made a little error, but then our opponent also made an error. And that kind of bailed us out a little bit. Our error wasn't that bad. But I think if we'd have got the Kaldra instead of the Jitte, that game would have been one for us. A lot easier than our opponent having to make a mistake. Anyway, we are 3-1 going for the 4-1 in the final round. Our opening hand for the final round does not do anything. Let's mulligan. Let's have some castable spells. Do I want to just play the Mother of Runes Noble Hierarch game? On the draw, so we get a couple of draw steps to find stuff. I think we'll keep this. And we'll probably throw back... I think it's the Ghost Quarter. Although the Ghost Quarter Flagstones is an interesting proposition. Maybe we can throw back a Windswept Heath. So we're going to probably turn 1 Mother of Runes because we don't really have anything else going on. A Windswept Heath. Is our opponent doing a similar thing to us? Or is this all a lie and there's some sort of blue deck? Samwise, that's a real card that does stuff. That's exciting. Let's play out this Mother of Runes. So next turn we can deploy a Samwise, buying back a land and getting some value if that's a thing we want to do. Or we can hold on to Samwise and deploy a couple more 1-drops. Alternatively, we might draw something that changes how we want to approach the game. A Dryad Arbor from our opponent. And a Windswept Heath being cracked for a Tundra. They were a blue deck. And they're ploughing our guy. Not unexpected. A Ramunap Excavator. That's going to be real fun in a few turns' time. How many basic lands do we think our opponent has? I don't want to fire this Ghost Quarter off our opponent, if I'm being honest. I don't think we want to Samwise here either. I think we're just going to be getting our basic forest underneath us here. Deploying the Mother of Runes around a Daze. I don't think our opponent's running Daze, but if one of them gets Daze, I'd rather it be the Hierarch here. Alright, so maybe we can do Ramunap Excavator, Ghost Quarter shenanigans, and bleed our opponent dry. There's another Windswept Heath. Let's see if they get a basic on this one or not. We're going to test the water soon, so let's find out. A Grist the Hunger Tide. It's pretty good. We can attack into this with our Noble Hierarch because it will be a 1-2. A powerful 1-2. So we could just Ghost Quarter our opponent and then Samwise it back. I don't hate that. Let's see what our opponent is working with over there. This is a Wasteland, it'd be a bit better, to be honest. But the Ghost Quarter might get us there. We'll see. They did have a basic. Let's get this Ghost Quarter back. Who do I want to be the ring bearer? Probably himself. We'll attack Grist with our 1-2. So they either lose an insect token or they lose a loyalty on the Grist. Ends up a bit of a wash depending on what they want to do, really. Yeah, we're just going to lose the 1 on that one. So we don't really want to play the Ramunap Excavator until the turn we actually do play the Ghost Quarter from our graveyard. So next turn might be... I don't know what next turn might be. It might just be Ghost Quartering them. And hopefully maybe finding a good 3-drop or something. Life from the Loam. Disgusting. So that's kind of wasted our entire time that we've been doing that plan. Alright, so our hand officially doesn't do anything. That's not great, truth be told. Plains, that's not really going to get us anywhere. Wowzers, trousers. I suppose that means we're playing the Ramunap Excavator and just getting back our Windswept Heath here. Good enough for a Force of Will. Okay. Dear, oh dear. I guess we're playing out the forest here. I don't think it's worth doing our Ghost Quarter shenanigans. What we can do here is we can attack and maybe give our guy protection, but that's not going to work, really. They can put 2 of these under the bus to kill our Samwise. A 2-1 is just a really terrible stat line for a non-first striker. This is... I've not been convinced by Samwise as a card when I've been playing it, and we have had a few turns where it seemed a bit better today than it has done in other decks. We're in for a bit of a rough ride, I think. Let's go. Right, another insect. More food for their Life from the Loam. Lorien revealed. Yep, that's pretty gross. 3 of your finest Magic the Gathering cards, please. Okay, we need to find something here. A Swords to Plowshares is something, but it's not something useful, which is kind of the problem. I suppose we play out our Plains. I don't think we care about this Ghost Quarter anymore. Attacking with a 3-2 into Grist, I think is acceptable. If we trade all 3 of these, we can give our guy protection. Again, it's not great here. We'll probably just put 1 insect under the bus. Like, our Sam isn't blocking, right? So our opponent's probably got an Uro. We can answer that with a Plow. But this Grist is probably just going to have us beaten unless we can draw some action. A Questing Beast on this board looks phenomenal. It swings through all of their tokens, smashes their Grist and their face at the same time. They do have a Karakas in their graveyard. That is the one downside. Are they going to dredge Life from Loam with any of these? They did not. They don't want to get the Karakas to bounce our Sam, because if we keep replaying it, it becomes a more useful card because we get to go through the ring. Delighted Halfling, sure. That's a creature. All their creatures are green though, which is something. Opponent's got 5 cards in hand. Do we think we can resolve a spell? That remains to be seen. Kaldra Compleat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So only 1 mana shy. I think we go to attacks here. And we're attacking the Grist. Be curious to see what they put in front of it this time. Just the 1. I think that's fine. Just ticking up the Grist, giving yourself a little bit of food. 2. Okay. We'll give our guy protection from black. Sure. They have a Plow. I would say they use the Plow on our worst guy, but I don't think he's the worst guy. I think maybe he is actually the worst guy we've got on board. Like, Mother of Ruin is definitely better. But we're kind of in a spot where we don't have any action here. Whereas our opponent has all the action in the world. Right, they're plowing our guys. This is all bad news bears. But our opponent does have to win the game. And these matchups can take quite the long time. A Wasteland. Probably not going to be hitting our Flagstones with that one. Oh, Jesus, what is this? Tyrannex Rex. Can't be countered. Ward 4. Well, we can hit this with a Plow. Let's pay the ward. Last card was Force of Vigor, blue card in hand, was that? It was. Okay. So our opponent has found a way of winning the game. But we have just not done anything this game. We've just drawn lands and played very anemic creatures. They don't really have any impact on the game. Elvish Reclaimer. You can do things potentially at some point.
Not sure what our opponent's thinking about. They've got no cards in hand and they're tapped out. They're just going to kill that with the Grist. So that sucks. Kaldra Compleat can tussle with a Tyrannox Rex quite easily. We have to cast on our next turn. Right, just another guy. The amount of damage we take this turn might prove difficult. Is it just a Tyrannox Rex? That's good for us if it is. No, attacking with a bunch of dudes. Okay, so we're going to go to blocks. Block here. We can't really block with our Hierarch, can we? We'll Ghost Quarter our Flagstones here. We don't have any basics left, do we? But we needed to make this guy a 3/4 so we could actually kill this Delighted Halfling. We could have just blocked on one of the 1/1s, I guess. But we're just dead here. Yeah, we had nothing going on there. Our hand did not play Magic the Gathering. These chokes might be useful, although our opponent did seem to have a lot of other colours going on, but I'm not opposed to these things. Do I think our opponent is a... Oh, I don't really know what our opponent's going to have. That, like, I think the Endurances are probably going to be useful, and so is the Soul Guide Lantern. So these are options. I think Jitte is going to be good here. Haywire Mite I don't think we need. Question Beast looks great. Samwise plus Wastelands. Like, we can definitely Wasteland our opponent into the bin here. The Thalia is going to be good. The Collector Ouphe not so much. Scryb Ranger should be fine, but not amazing. I'm not even sure we want the chokes. I think we just want the Graveyard Hate here. So we need to find one more cut. It's a toughie. Is it one of the plows? We've seen things like Leovold, so they're probably going to have more creatures than I'd have initially thought. How important is Birds of Paradise here? Is another question. I don't think we need the flyer blocker. So I'm going to remove birds. Alright. Like, maybe we want the choke, but they've had so many lands that weren't blue. I don't think that's worth doing. We could bring in Surgical for Uros potentially, but we've got other Graveyard Hate that's just better. This hand does not play Magic the Gathering. This hand very much does play Magic the Gathering. Alright, we'll keep this. What are we going to get rid of here? I think the Plow might not be where we want to be just yet. Our opponent doesn't look like they're playing creatures until the later stage of the game. Okay, our opponent's mulled to 5. Happy about that. Right, we didn't pass through our first turn, so that's an improvement on some of the previous games we played today. Alright, there's our Mother of Rings. We have a Green Sun Zenith, which can do some pretty disgusting things. Are we just losing our Mother of Runes here? It's going to be Tundra into Source of Plowshares or Prismatic Ending. That'd be my guess, but maybe they're just on a ponder line themselves. I'm tempted to go and get Elvish Reclaimer here. Okay, Savannah into the Prismatic Ending, sure. I think I would like to get a Reclaimer here, and we can set up for the Wasteland combo. So I think this wants to go and be a basic forest, and then we're casting Green Sun Zenith for 1. Our opponent can't daze this because they don't have any... I don't think they're running daze anyway, but even if they were. So we'll get the Reclaimer now, and then this can turn our Flagstones into a Wasteland, and then we can just start Wastelanding our opponent, because it looks like they've got a lot of non-basics over there. Right, a blue source from our opponent into Delighted Halfling. Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor. So looking at some uncountable legends in the very near future, I believe. Samwise the Stouthearted. Do we care about that right now? I don't think so. We will float a mana here. We'll play this Flagstones. We'll keep this one. We'll use the Flagstones ability. We'll get ourselves a Savannah. Then we will get rid of this Flagstones. Say yes. Get another Savannah. Get ourselves... I think we want the Wasteland, but it could be the Karakas, given what our opponent is putting down over there. But I think the Wasteland Ramunap Excavator plan is just too strong to avoid right now. This is going to be a natural order. It is indeed. Atraxa, I would assume. But maybe they're on the Tyrannox Rex. It just closes the game very quickly. It is the Atraxa. Let's see how bad it is for us. Quite a bunch of stuff. So they're going to get like 4 cards off of this. Instant sorcery creature land. And we have this creature we need to kill. They're going to probably take the Plow, so they have removal for whatever we're doing. Alright, so they took Windswept Heath. They took Source to Plowshares, Life from Malone, Leovold. They're plowing our guy, as we expected. Now it's over to us. What is the plan? We can double wasteland them, but they have life from alone. We can Knight to the Reliquary. That gets us somewhere, doesn't it? I think we can't take them off of green this turn, which is a pity. So this can get a Karakas. Alright, they have Force of Will pitching the Leovold. That's pretty terrible news for us. We have a Horizon Canopy. We can crack this to draw a card. Yeah, Life from Alone is just so backbreaking for us. I think we probably will be cracking this Horizon Canopy to draw a land. I think we're going to do it in our opponent's turn, so we're being more mana efficient. Alright, in comes some little guys. We can wasteland to prevent 1 damage, but I don't think that matters here. Yeah, this wasteland, yeah, our wasteland angle of our deck is completely useless against this 4-colour deck, which is upsetting, to say the least. I would like to draw a Swords to Plowshares, please. It costs 1 mana. It's similar but different. Okay, so we have to play this guy, and then play our Horizon Canopy to try and draw a mana source, a answer for this guy. Okay, and now we pass and we take 7 damage. So we have 1 more turn to find an answer. An Endurance. Interesting they wouldn't just fire that off in response to our Excavator. Does seem odd to me. Sure, they're shuffling in a bunch of stuff we don't want to draw right now. Okay, a Karakas from our opponent. Yep, we're going to take 10 here. I don't think we want to block the Endurance. Problem for next turn. If we can't answer the Atraxa, we're going to lose. Yep, the Life from Malone, that just by being in our opponent's hand has 1-2 games. Yikes. Let's draw a card. We drew the Plow. Okay. So we have a chance here. So we're going to wasteland our opponent's Karakas so they can't save the Atraxa. Then we're going to cast this Swords to Plowshares on this guy. And then what? We can block and Samwise, or we can just get our wasteland back and wasteland our opponent's Dryad Arbor. Prevent damage. Interesting. We could play out this Noble Hierarch as a chump blocker. I hate that. We can't take our opponent off of all of their green sources. That is the problem we have. Right. I think we're going to wasteland this Dryad Arbor now, so our opponent can't use it as a green sun as a natural order target. They have to use their Endurance. So we are in chump block with the Noble Hierarch territory, I think. Our opponent has 38 life working with it, by the way. Even if we can turn the corner a little bit, it's going to be very hard. Our opponent does have a Life from Malone engine going. It's only a matter of time before they find an Uro. Stoneforge Mystic is a real card, though. I think we want Horizon Canopy here. And we'll cast this Stoneforge Mystic. What do I actually want here? That's kind of an interesting question. I think we might want the Umezawa's Jitte here. It's something we can cast, which is nice, I suppose. Alright. So then what we can do here is we can double block and then Samwise back whichever one they kill. So they have 3 points of damage. They'll probably kill our Ramunap here. Let's just do the Stoneforge here as a chump block. Because we don't have quite enough damage to kill it just yet. What nonsense is our opponent going to deal with us now? A Teferi Time Raveler. Alright, we have a response. Let's play our spell and get back our Stoneforge Mystic. And we will make Samwise the Ringbearer. This Teferi might just bounce our Ramunap Excavator. That's a lot of mana that we're not going to have available if we replay that. So we are also on 3 life now, so the Endurance will be lethal in 1 swing. Alright, goodbye Ramunap Excavator. Our opponent's got another card. Right, are we going to get plowed right now? That would be... Okay, we're not getting plowed right now. Oh, we might be getting Prismatic Ending? No. Questing Beast. What a beast. I think we go for the Questing Beast here. Vigilance, very tasty here. Alright, our opponent's got something. Is this just a brainstorm to try and find an answer with? Or what? We will find out. An Underground Sea. A brainstorm, so they're looking for an answer. This means they don't have a removal spell in hand right now. Alright, we're in with the Questing Beast. We'll attack them. They have a Snuff Out, that'd be annoying. But this has Vigilance, so it's going to do it on attacks and blocks. And it kills their Teferi. Alright, we have 2 blockers as well for their Endurance. So the plan is to equip a Jitte next turn. They might have had the removal, but not a white source to fetch. Seems unlikely to me, but it's possible. Okay, so they're brainstorming again, even though they need a top card because they brainstormed in the last turn. Or in our turn, I should say. Alright. Playing Maverick in like a 9-round tournament must be a lot. The games go very long and you get very little time between rounds to recharge. Life from Loam. Dryad Arbor, Misty Rainforest. And what's that last one? Karakas. Sure, so they can Karakas and bounce our questing beast. That is certainly a thing they're allowed to do. And they're doing it. So we have to chump block with our Samwise, or we die. So the plan of attacking with a Jitte is off now. But we had a nice turn that forced them into doing some Loam shenanigans. So what is in their graveyard right now? We can play our own Endurance here. Is that good? Kind of want to get this Karakas down first. So we can go 1, 2, 3, play Ramunap Wasteland. That doesn't really get us there, does it? Maybe we have to do that for next turn. We play this out. And we go for the Stoneforge. Haven't found an Uro yet, which is news. A bit of Kaldra Compleat here. Then the plan is to Endurance to block with. Let's see if they Life from the Loam or not. We could just catch this Life from the Loam right now. Don't like going to 2 here. We could get Dryad Arbor actually. And then go to 1 with our Horizon Canopy. This plays around 2 removal spells. Sure, I actually like that. Pop the graveyard out here. Okay, so they do have Minsc and Boo in their decks. They're a 5-colour deck. Yuck. Opposition Agent. Sure. Opponent's got all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff over. They've got 2 lands and Life from a Loam in hand. Boseiju who endures on our little Dryad Arbor. That's very sad. A very sad state of affairs. We will say no to the search ability. Why did I think we had an Endurance? What am I doing? What am I doing? Lost my mind here. We'll draw a card. I played this whole turn as if I had Endurance. When I didn't. What am I doing? I think it is too late. It is nearly 2 o'clock in the morning, but that's still no excuse. What am I doing? Oh dear, oh dear. So, we can play Endurance now. That doesn't feel amazing, does it? We can't Green Sun Zenith around this opposition agent, so that's not a line we get to play here. So I think we play our Ramunap Excavator. And then we're either playing our Dryad Arbor as a blocker or playing a Thalia. Thalia is a better blocker, but they have Karakas. So, not a better blocker. Yuck. Oh, okay. And Green Sun Zenith we can't cast because of the opposition agent. Alright, so we are chump blocking the Endurance for another turn here. We can just keep chump blocking. And maybe we can stick a Umezawa's Jitte on at some point. And that makes our blocks a lot better. Windswept Heath, Boseiju, and the weird little rivulet island thing. Sure. Must have just looked at my Green Sun Zenith and thought, oh, I can get an Endurance, then just locked Endurance in my brain. So this is the game, right? Because they attack us and we block here and we take lethal. If we'd have played that Endurance, would that game have gone quite differently? If we'd have just Green Sun Zenith for Endurance right there and then? I think so. I think we'd probably still end up losing that game. But I think it's going to be a lot closer. Our opponent's deck is just a little bit bigger than ours. So it just has slightly bigger and better stuff. They've got the same removal, but they've got presumably Uros. We saw the Minsc and Boo. They just have the best cards from all the colours, including stuff that shuts us down like the opposition agent. So, a bit awkward. We did draw incredibly poorly in the first game though. But I can't be too upset with that one. It's near 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm not great with Maverick, as you've probably guessed. Alright, let's talk about the deck. So the main thing we wanted to sort of see and the sort of crux that this deck was built around was Samwise. Now, we had a game where Samwise looked good, where it allowed us to do multiple wastelands against the deck that was nothing but non-basics. So that was good. However, the other times we drew Samwise, it was like a chump blocker for a turn that kind of rebought something else. Or, you know, maybe it could rebuy a Ghost Quarter sometimes, but, you know, it wasn't really doing a lot. And a 2-1 stat line for 2 mana is pretty poor. Like, at least Thalia has first strike, so she can tussle in combat. But Sam is losing to every creature imaginable in combat, which is not great. So the card advantage you get on this isn't worth the body you're getting on it, if that makes sense. I just don't think it's worth. Like, yeah, you could do the Karakas thing and
get loads and loads of grindy stuff. But this deck can just do loads of much better grindy stuff with something like a Knight or a Reclaimer anyway. So I'm not really convinced that Samwise is any good. To be honest, I've played maybe 4 decks with Samwise now, and pretty much every time I've played it, it's been the worst card in the deck. So that is a big strike against this card for me. In terms of decks that I want to play myself, none of them will include Samwise now. I've played this enough that I don't think it's where I want to be. Maybe you could play an Ether Vial deck that's going to be getting some more value off it, but I think maybe you need to lean a little bit harder into it. It's like more sagas, so that you can just let the saga naturally die and then play the Samwise. But quite often when the saga's doing its last tick, you are using the mana to make constructs anyway, and are not necessarily getting the mana to Samwise it. So I'm not sure what a good deck with Samwise looks like. We could have just had another Knight of the Reliquary instead, and our deck would have been better. So we could have had one more Knight of the Reliquary, one more Elvish Reclaimer, and like a prismatic ending or something. And I think our deck would have been stronger, or we could have had an Outland Liberator in the main deck, or a third Stoneforge Mystic. I think we were kind of hamstringing ourselves by playing this card. And we had games where we drew this and it didn't do anything. And we had games where we drew this, it didn't really do very much, but we won the game anyway because of other cards. This didn't really do much apart from the matchup where our opponent just played lands and then died. I think the Wasteland plan our opponent had was also pretty annoying. An Endurance in the main deck was also another thing you can have instead of a Samwise. But our fair game plan here with this deck in general felt like it struggled against the decks that could go a little bit bigger. So like that last round, they were doing similar things to us. You know, they were playing green spells with like Green Sun Zenith, their Dryad Arbors and whatnot, and then they had the natural order to go much bigger and over the top, and that's something that we're going to struggle to defeat sometimes. And then the Life from the Loam just completely cuts the rug out from underneath us if we're trying to wasteland them off. Now, we can have Graveyard Hate for that, but we have these Samwises in the deck, which are taking up space that maybe could have been an Endurance that could have helped in a situation like that. What I will say is I like Haywire Mite. You're probably not surprised to hear me say that. I did say I really like the design of this card. I think it's really sweet. But having a Haywire Mite in a deck with Samwise makes sense to me. I don't necessarily think it's enough to make Samwise good, but I did like the idea of having the Saga to go and get the Haywire Mite. When I asked for Dogs for some help on building this deck, he sort of was quite interested by the idea of going deeper into it with Urza Saga and Haywire Mites and Soulguide Lanterns. So you've actually got loads of good stuff to recur. It does seem the best stuff you can recur is probably going to be coming out of Sagas. So maybe there's something behind that. But I have played decks that have got like 0 drops and baubles and things to get off with the Samwise. But again, it just didn't feel good. Like, how many Karakas are you playing in your deck to enable this? We've only got one. We do have ways of tutoring it. But most of the time when we've got our stuff going, just Knight things is going to be better than shooting for a Karakas to do this Samwise loop. It's a nice option to have, I guess. But I don't really think it's worth it. If Samwise was green-white, so we could get him with a Green Sun Zenith, and you could just have one in the deck for those situations, I think he'd just be a much better card. The fact that we have to play a bunch of them to kind of guarantee they're going to do their thing is a bit of an issue. Like, you saw games where we just drew this, and this was kind of the thing we had to do, and it wasn't good. So we couldn't really win that game. Also, this was part of the Flagstones plan, so we could play Flagstones into Flagstones and then Samwise get back the Flagstones and just ramp out. The Flagstones were just nice anyway. They were just a thing that were good with Reclaimer. Obviously, this isn't new information. The Naya and the Green-White Black Depths decks play them, and it's very solid. Yeah, I think the Ghost Quarter, when we drew it, I wished it was a Wasteland. I don't think we want a Ghost Quarter. I think we'd rather have 4 Wastelands than 3 Wastelands and a Ghost Quarter. Now, if you want a 5th Wasteland, by all means, play the Ghost Quarter. That makes sense to me. But I don't think you want the Ghost Quarter over the Wasteland. I think that just the power of the Wasteland is just really good. And sometimes the Ghost Quarter isn't going to do anything, and you're going to feel bad. It's like when I play a Turbo Depths deck, for example, we don't care about our opponent getting a land off of our Ghost Quarter because the lands we're hitting are things that interrupt our combo. With this deck we're playing, the Ghost Quarter isn't really doing that. Like, our land destruction is the Wastelands because we're trying to grind our opponent's resources down and, you know, stop them from being able to play the game like we did in a couple of occasions. Ghost Quarter doesn't do that because it replaces it. So if we're just trying to trade resources and then recoup them with the Ramunap Excavator later on, or just hit them with a few Wastelands so they can't play the game, Ghost Quarter is like the opposite of that. So I don't like it in this deck unless it's the 5th Wasteland copy, when it can be okay in that case. But I think I'd rather have more Res of Sagas if I've got colourless lands going on. Other than that, I think having the Collector Ouphe main deck makes sense. I'm a big fan of that. Not really much else to say about this deck. The Mother of Ruins got killed on site a lot, and I feel we needed a little bit more removal in this deck as well. Quite often you'll see these decks playing something like Prismatic Ending as like a 1 or a 2 of, just as a little bit of way of interacting a bit more, and sometimes they'll have a different coloured source. Like, we do have the Birds of Paradise and the Noble Hierarch, but sometimes they'll run like 1 Bayou as well, just so they can get Prismatic Endings for 3. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about the main deck. The sideboard, it felt like we had the tools I wanted, apart from maybe some more removal. Other than that, we didn't broaden the surgicals, but we didn't have any matchups that... We had matchups where our opponents were using the graveyard. But maybe we should have broadened the surgicals against the Life from Malone deck. I don't know. But it just felt like, to me, the Endurances and Solgar Lanterns were better because they wouldn't always have the Life from Malone. It's not like they're a dedicated graveyard deck like Reanimator or Oops or Spells or something where you just have to have the surgical. But, you know, a 3-2 is fine for a Maverick deck for me. Like, I'm not sure this deck is like tier 1 or anything. Well, I know it's not tier 1, but I don't think this deck is something that you're going to bring to a tournament unless it's your deck, if you know what I mean. If you've put in many hours into this deck, then your percentages are going to get rewarded quite a lot. I think it rewards play skill a decent amount, but it is a fair deck, and it can struggle with some of the unfair things. And if people are just going a little bit bigger than you, it is quite hard to tackle that. And especially when we're running some dead cards like Samwise, it means we have less of the things that just win the game like Knight, which means it's easier for people just to take over the game from us because they just have to answer a few select permanents and then we can kind of get toasted. But this was a fun experiment, and I think I've experimented with Samwise quite a lot on this channel, and I hope you've all been enjoying it. Everyone likes seeing new cards, and I would like to know if you disagree with my assessment on Samwise. Maybe I should play the Perez white deck that has Samwise, because Perez's decks are always good, even if they don't necessarily look that good on paper. When you play them, they always get there. I think they're a very good deck builder. So maybe someone who will submit a donation and I can play Perez's deck on the channel, but it's not necessarily something I'm going to be prioritizing. I've got quite a lot of stuff in my donation queue right now, and I've got some things that I want to play myself as well. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm getting towards the old 2,000 subscribers, so I'm hoping to get that in the next few months. So if you could help me with that, that'd be brilliant. So if you know anyone who likes Legacy, by all means send them my content. It means a lot to me. And if you want a donation deck like this one, or like anything really, just contact me via the Discord or leave a comment and we can sort it out. Alright, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.